Hello and welcome back to TalkBack. We are with Nandita here on Juhu beach in Mumbai, India. All right, how's that going for you?
Nice, it beats the heat.
Yeah, I'm sure. All right, what's wrong with Bollywood escapism? Because you keep on saying, oh, escapism this and escapism that.
I haven't even used that word, but
No, I've read it several places.
yeah.
You've said that Bollywood cinema defies realism.
No, I don't think I've said it in that many words. Well, it is kind of a make-believe world in any case that Bollywood creates. And Bollywood sometimes is seen as a derogatory word, and I'm sure both of us don't mean it that way, so just to clear the air. More mainstream cinema, I guess, is there, and a lot of people say that is for entertainment. Now, the definition of entertainment can also be different. You know, you would want to be touched by a film, you would want to be affected by a film, even to be able to cry or to feel could be entertainment. But in the definition that it probably sees, where there is song and dance, and that's less of the problem, but the kind of characterizations of characters, the kind of stories that it tackles, they definitely don't interest me to that extent. That's for sure. Um,
No, I'm just getting back to what I was trying to get to earlier.
right.
You see, there is a market for, yes, Bollywood can be used as a demeaning term, but we're not using it that way. We're trying to figure it out.
Well, mainstream, let's say.
Let's say mainstream, all right, better word. Uh, what's wrong with mainstream cinema? Because there is a market for it. Now, as escapist as it can get, song, dance, sex, luster, violence, whatever, there is a market
People
for
seem
it.
to be loving it in India and in Pakistan.
That's the thing. Isn't it a sign of what the new bourgeois Indian wants? Isn't it a sign of the new rising middle class?
But hasn't mainstream cinema always succeeded? I mean, is it really just a bourgeois thing? Is it in man on the street to the man in the mansion who's kind of liking it and endorsing it, whether here or in Pakistan or many other countries world over? So I think let that be. We are not here to say that that is good or bad, but we are also here to create more space for other kind of cinema, to say why should that space be shrinking? Why shouldn't there be films that tackle real issues as well, that talk about stories that are not often told or heard? So my fight or whatever is less against something than it is for the kind of cinema that at least I can relate to, or that sort of resonates with my own concerns or my interests.
Okay, this is what you say about art cinema. In this article called The Renaissance Woman, this is for the South Asian, you are quoted, you're saying art cinema can also be boring and pretentious and hardcore. Commercial cinema can also be frivolous and frothy. So one has to find a middle road somewhere. Now, a lot of even, and you go on to admit that even some art film directors are finding this middle road.
Well, more than middle road,
This thinking cinema, this thinking mainstream cinema. So is that the future?
I'm not so sure about the term middle road, because that middle is also a subjective thing. But yes, I think that it's not about art, cinema, parallel cinema versus mainstream or whatever, because these lines are blurring. We don't want frothy, fluffy cinema, and art cinema can be boring and pretentious and slow and therefore alienating from the mainstream audience. So you just want cinema that you can relate to. Now, what is good cinema? They say there are only two categories, good cinema and bad cinema. But what's good for you may not be good for me. But is there a cinema that can provoke that can have both form and content? You know, and because both are important. It is an art form, it is a technical medium. I've just directed my first film and many learnings. But therefore, I think the content has to be strong and relevant, and at the same time, the form.
Right now, Ramchand Pakistani, you worked on it recently. You've shot in Pakistan? All right.
Completely in the Sindh area of
Give us a
region.
little heads up on what the movie's about.
One, it's directed by Mehreen Jabbar, a young, dynamic, sensitive filmmaker and also a friend. I first met her at the first Kara Film Festival, which happened in Karachi, and over the years we sort of kept in touch. She did a short film in New York in which I participated, and then she sent me the script for this, and it's about how a lot of these border crossing incidents where people accidentally cross borders and then they are stuck in a certain jail, and these days in fact there's a lot of that happening, and talk about it, about this particular person who came from Pakistan and was in the jail for many years and has been released. So it's about people just being victims of bureaucracy, victims of this kind of politics, victims of prejudice.
Would it qualify as art cinema?
It would qualify as meaningful cinema.
Okay. Now, if it would qualify as meaningful slash brackets art cinema, what would you say to the question that wouldn't, if you're really trying to build bridges, etc., with this movie, obviously through as an art form, I'm not sure if that is the direct purpose, but don't you think that mainstream cinema would be a better vehicle because more people are interested in that?
No, but I think that it doesn't, like I said, art cinema doesn't have to be slow and boring. Art cinema can be hard-hitting and extremely watchable and accessible as well. Half the time, these kind of films don't do well because they're not marketed well. If there is good marketing, if there are more people who would have faith in films like this. In India, so many small films are actually doing
So
better than the big films.
you're not a marketing snob then. You're not saying so you don't want to like
No,
belittle the marketing machine.
no, because you have to. We live in times where marketing is important, but it shouldn't be more important than the product. I have problems where the product has nothing, and then you market it sky high, and then you make your money in spite of that. You know, if something is good, if there is a good film, of course it should be marketed well and correctly.
So you're not a marketing snob.
No, why should I be?
All right, real quickly because we need to wrap this one up real quickly for a break. Regional cinema, is there more leverage in regional cinema in India versus mainstream Hindi cinema?
No, I think, in fact, regional cinema, the space for that is shrinking phenomenally. Because when I say regional cinema, I don't only mean the mainstream Tamil cinema or the mainstream Telugu cinema, which is huge, which probably is even bigger than the Bombay industry. But when I say regional cinema, I mean the smaller films, the small budget films that are made in different regions. But we have so many different languages, we have different states where there are cultural milieus that are different, and why shouldn't those stories be represented? And I in fact feel there's more honesty and less compromises in those films because they are not in the big sea, they're in their small pond and they can afford to make films that they truly believe in. And half of my films, that's why probably, has been in regional cinema. I've struggled through languages that I don't speak. In fact, that's why shooting Ramchand Pakistani in Mirpur Khas and that area was easier than shooting in some of the places in India.
Right. We have to take a short break here. We're talking to Nandita Das on Talk Back. Stay tuned.